Between the years 1841 and 1856, William and Adeline Accooe had 6 children. A major benefit of raising their children in Philadelphia was their children's access to an education. Already, by 1838, there were at least 25 African-American schools. Unlike their enslaved counterparts in the South, who were denied an education by force of law, the Accooe children attended school and were proficient in reading, writing, and mathematics. This advantage still came with a caveat. In 1854, the Pennsylvania state legislature passed a law requiring separate schools in districts where there were 20 or more black pupils. This meant the older Accooe siblings, Anne Maria, who was 13 years old, and James, who was age 9 at the time, were now forced by law to attend separate schools for black children. Even more inhospitable than forced segregation, the Accooe children had to contend with the violence of working-class whites bent on harming African Americans. Frequently, white teenagers played a game called Hunt the Nig, in which blacks were attacked on the streets. The looming presence of white street gangs that proliferated throughout most neighborhoods in Philadelphia was a serious threat to the safety of the Accooe children. These street gangs included the Moyamensing Killers, the Rats, the Blood Tubs, the Death Fetchers, the Hyenas, the Smashers, and the Tormentors. For the Accooe children, the Moyamensing Killers, a group of Irish Catholic street toughs, would be the most troublesome. These thugs would menace the Accooe's neighborhood for years, later leading a major race riot against the African American community. Despite discrimination, the Accooe family found strength and community within the warm embrace of Mother Bethel AME Church, the anchor of America's first independent black religious denomination. Patriarch William Accooe had been a member of the church since 1838. Recognized as a valued member of the congregation, William rose within Mother Bethel to become a church officer, and as revealed in church records, was very influential in church affairs. He was heavily involved in board meetings, serving on committees approving funds, and deciding judgments in trials of board trustees. Through his position at the church, William forged friendships with the leaders of the community, firmly rooting the Accooe family among the respected citizens of black society. William's acquaintances included the treasurer of Mother Bethel, Stephen Smith, Pastor Walter Proctor, and James LeCount. Stephen Smith was one of the wealthiest black men in America. He co-founded and owned Smith, Whipper and Company, a lumber and coal business. He held extensive investments in real estate and land holdings in Pennsylvania and Canada, owning coal and lumber yards, railroad cars, and a steamship on Lake Erie. He was also the largest stockholder of the Columbia Bank and Bridge Company. By 1857, Stephen Smith had an estimated net worth of $500,000, which is almost $18 million today. William's friend, James LeCount, owned a prosperous cabinet and undertaking business. His daughter Caroline was a civil rights activist during the 1860s and helped to successfully end discrimination on Philadelphia's horse-drawn streetcars. She would also be notable for being the fiancée of slain voting rights leader Octavius Cato. William Accooe and his wife Adeline were also longtime friends of Reverend Walter Proctor, his wife Mary Ann LeCount Proctor, and their daughter Elizabeth LeCount Bolivar. Elizabeth was married to William Carl Bolivar, a journalist, bibliophile, and historical researcher. Known for his 3,000-item library collection of black literature and archival materials, he, along with friend Arturo Schomburg, helped lay the foundation for the modern preservation of black American culture. Dedicating his life to serving Mother Bethel and its community, William eventually became an ordained minister, the first in a long line of Accooe clergymen dedicated to serving the AME Church. As a minister preaching, officiating marriages, and performing baptisms, Reverend William Accooe permanently solidified the Accooe family name amongst the old, established black community of Philadelphia. His wife, Adlai Accooe, became a confectioner, renowned throughout the city as the colored cake lady, selling her cakes and pies at the new courthouse. Following in the footsteps of their mother, Adeline, the entrepreneurial spirit ran strong among the Accooe children as they grew to adulthood. Eldest son, James Accooe, owned a bootblack and newspaper selling business. Located at 210 South 9th Street, the business underwent several name changes, including the Accooe Brothers and James Accooe and Son. This business was a family staple for several generations. Along with keeping customers' shoes blackened and polished, the Accooes sold a large variety of newspapers, ranging from mainstream dailies and weeklies to niche papers like the New York Dramatic Mirror, a theater publication, and African-American-owned newspapers from across the country like the Washington Bee and the Richmond Planet. With available distribution through the family business, youngest brother William Bert Accooe helped found and publish a local newspaper called The Weekly Traveler, serving as its business manager and editor. Second eldest brother John Accooe owned an oyster-selling business with a partner called Brown and Accooe. Oyster sales was an industry that black Americans had dominated in Philadelphia since the early 1800s. John was a part of a successful tradition within the black community that was at least 60 years old. More important than entrepreneurship, the Accooes became influential figures within the world of 19th century politics. By the 1880s, eldest son, James Accooe, had become a prominent politician, associated with the most powerful faction of Philadelphia's Republican machine. James became so influential that white Democrats referred to him as the Negro politician who owned the 8th Ward. His younger brother, the Reverend John Harrison Accooe, became a national political activist who fought for equality for black Americans within the Republican Party and throughout America. His fiery speeches were published in major newspapers across the country, and he would be the first to make the Accooe name known as a force outside of Philadelphia. On April 15, 1883, founding patriarch, the Reverend William Accooe, passed away, leaving a legacy of respectability and his adult children in a position to be a force in black society. His foundation would serve as a launch pad from which the family would propel itself into notoriety, to serve as agents of change, forever affecting the winds of American history.
Please watch the next video.